Hello everyone, I believe I'm being heard. Today it's Monday 30th January 2023. We're doing HTML tables. They are being done on the syllabus for grade 12 CAT. CAT stands for Computer Applications Technology. But in this case, we're dealing with HTML tables. Alright. Let's get started. Make sure you send the link to everyone you know who's doing CAT in their syllabus. Alright. I hope I'm being heard. I hope the sound is clear. Alright. So, when we're dealing with HTML, alright. Remember, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is the language for the web. It is the language for the web. So that is HTML. So everything that you see on the browser, is written in HTML. So HTML is made up of mainly two children, that is the head and the body. Alright, I hope my screen is clear enough. I hope you can see. Okay, HTML is made up of two children mainly. So everything is inside the HTML tag, right? Then HTML is made up of two children, mainly the head and the body. The head and the body, right? So everything that you see on the browser, is written in the body. Everything that you see on the browser is written in the body. Then everything about the page, about the web page, is written in the head. About the web page, written in the head. All right. I hope you can see. I hope you can see everything. I hope you can see my text editor. The text editor I'm using is VS Code, Visual Studio Code. I prefer using it. You can use any text editor. There are no limitations. It will just give you the same results. Okay, let me just lower it down so that you can see. Alright, let me check if my screen, yes, you can see everything. Perfect. So I started with line 5 so that you can see everything. So HTML is made up of mainly two children, that is the head and also the body. And I said that everything about the page, about the web page, is written in the head. Then everything that you see with your optical eyes, that is on the web page that you see, is written inside the body tag. So now let's just today, remember, we're doing tables. So let me write heading level 1. So tables, let me save it. All right, so I've written a title, tables. right. Perfect. Let me refresh my page. Okay, I want to show my web page. Yes, perfect. So here we are. So this is the heading level 1 tables. All right. So remember, say that everything that you see on the web is written inside the body tag. So remember, on H1 I wrote tables today because today we're doing HTML tables. Okay, let me just say HTML tables. HTML tables, yes. So HTML tables. So now tables, table element is made up of two mainly elements. We have the table row and also table data, that is TD and TR. TR stands for table row and TD stands for table data. So back to our text editor. Alright, back to our table editor, text editor. Then let's write the table. We use the table element, right? Then inside the table element, even if I can save it, it won't show anything because we have not defined the number of rows and we have not defined the number of data table TRTD. All right. So then we have TR. TR stands for table row. How many rows are we going to have? So let's say we're gonna have 2 rows. Let's say we're gonna have 2 rows, right? So then we'll have TD. TD stands for table data. All right, then let's say grade 12, right? So we have grade 12, right? Then let's have grade 11, another row. Not another row, another data. Let's say here grade 11, then TD as well, grade 10. Perfect. So we have 3 columns, grade 12, grade 11 and grade 10. All right, so remember this, we defined only one row. We defined only one row. As you can see here, we have only one row. And this row is made up of 3 columns. It's made up of 3 columns. This is the first column, grade 12. The second column is grade 11, and the third column is grade 10. Right? So then, let's say these are the titles. Let's make them titles. So if we want to make title, we just write T head, right? So if we say that this is a table header, which means it's gonna be bold, because it represents the header. It's gonna be bold. All right, perfect. So now let's check our browser. Let's save. Now it has become bold because we changed it to T head. TH, it makes the text bold because it represents the header, right? So let's make another row. TR. Then let's have three columns as well. So we have TG, first column. Then we have another TG, second column. Then the third column. Right. So here, let's say grade 12, they do CAT. Grade 11, let's say writing subjects, maths. Then grade 10, let's say physics, right? So let's save. Now we have remember we have 2 rows here. The first row is the T head, that represents the head. Then the second one, we have the data, right? The data. Then let's put figures. Okay, let me display my code so that you can see. Let's make another third one. Then let's say TR as well. So we're doing the third row. TR stands for row, TR. Then let's say the 50 students that does CAT, computer applications technology, in grade 12. So TD, let's say they are 50 students, right? Then TG as well. Let's say we have for those who are doing maths, students in grade 11, let's say they are 55. Then those who do physics in grade 10, TD stands for table data. TD, let's say they are 79. Perfect. So now let's view our browser. Remember too that everything that is in the body, everything that's in the body, it will display in the browser. So here, as you can see, we have grade 12, and grade 12 is doing CAT, and there are 50 students doing CAT. And for grade 11, right? Those doing maths, they are 55. For grade 10, those doing physics, they are 79. But now, since there are no borders, it does not look like a table because there are no borders. So let's make borders. Let's go to the table element. Let's go to the table element. Want to make borders now. Let's go to table element. So now, when you are writing inside the opening tag, we call that an attribute. An attribute, it's I can say that it how can I define it? An attribute, it increases or it adds more functionality. That's the best way to describe an attribute. An attribute adds more functionality to the element. So we have an attribute that is border. So let's say the border here is 1 pixels. 1 pixels. Now let's go back to our browser. Now we're going to see the difference. Now it will look like exact table because we've added the border. So now you can see that is divided into rows and columns. You can clearly see the rows and columns. So you can see grade 12, right? And under grade 12 we have students that are doing CAT, which are 50. Then for grade 11 we have students that are doing maths and they are 55. Then grade 10 we have students that are doing physics and they are 79. So you can see clearly that this is really a table. You can see with the optical eyes, right? So let's just increase the border to make it 5 pixels. 5 pixels, right? Yes, now you can see clearly, okay, this is a table, well structured. Then now let's say maybe you want to merge the tables, or you want the third row to have only 2 cells instead of the third row having 3 cells, that is 50 students, 55 students and 79 students. You just want it to have only 2 cells. All right, so go back to our text editor. All right, so you want it to have only cells. In other words, you are spanning the columns, you're spanning the row. So how do you span the row? Right, so here we have an attribute that is called row span. We have an attribute that is called row span when you're spanning the rows, and you have an attribute called column span when you're spanning the columns, right? So then let's span the third row or the second row. All right, so here now we're gonna span the what? The third row. We're gonna span the third row, that we are spanning the third row. All right, so here remember, this is the first row, this is the second row, and this is the third row. As you can see, if I click here, it shows where this row ends. It ends here. So now we want to span the row. All right. All right. So we're gonna span 2 rows. Okay, let's span one. Okay. Let's see on the browser the changes. All right. Okay. So what did you do here? Here was spanning the row. We had grade 12, grade 11, and grade 10, right? Grade 12, grade 11, and grade 10. Then under grade 12, we had cat, right? Cat. Then under cat, we had 50. Then we had maths under grade 11, and under maths we had 55. Then under physics we have 79. So what we did here, we span, so we span the row. So we said, okay, let's combine the row. Remember, it was cat, then underneath cat it was 50. So cat took this area, it took the row for cat and also the row for 50. So cat took this whole width, this whole area, because we did row span. Okay, let me show you my text editor. All right, as you can see here on the text editor, remember here we have on the second row, on the first row, because this is the okay, this is the first row for the table head with headings, then this is the second row, and this is the third row. This is the third row. So what we did here, so we said, okay, let us span the row for cat by 2 times. I hope I'm still being heard. So what we did here, all right, what we did, we spent 2 rows. So cat took the space for 50 and also utilize the cat space because we're spanning it. Then we have this one which is pushed to the right. All right, so now let's try to span the columns. Let's span the columns. Now let's span the columns. So when I span the column, we use the attribute which is call span. That is, you are spanning the columns, you are combining the columns, call span. So now let's go to this row. So this is the third row, right? Now let's span all 3 columns. So we're gonna say here, call span. I'm gonna say call span, then say 3. Right. So let me display it. Here, as you can see, we're saying under the third row that has the number of students, right? This one. Okay, let me just remove the row span. So that you can see clearly. All right. So what are we saying here? We say, let's go back to our text editor. Let's go back to our text editor. So here, what we're trying to do, remember we are in this third row. The third row, the first value for the third row, it's 50. Okay, let me remove this. All right. So what we're trying to achieve here, we want to span this row. We want to span this row. So we're going to use call span. We're spanning all the columns, call span, but on the third row. So which means these 50 students for grade 10 CAT is going to take the space from 50 up to 79. We're going to take all this space, all this area. We're going to utilize this area because we're spanning it. So we're going to say it's 1, column 1, column 2, column 3. So our value is going to be col span is equals to 3 because we're spanning column 1, column 2, column 3. In other words, we're going to put this together. It's going to become one column. It's going to become one column. All right. Let's go back to our text editor. So here we are on the third row. So we wanted the 50 to utilize the space for 55 and the space for 79. So we're gonna span it. So we say column span. Remember, let me go back to our browser. So I want to explain clearly. Remember, this is the column. Grade 12, CAT, and 50 is one column, the first column. Then grade 11, Maths, 55 is the second column. Then grade 10, Physics, and 79 students is the third column. So out of this column, we have the first row. This is the first row for the head, and this is the second row for the subjects, and this is the third row for number of students, right? So what I say, on the third row, this 50 number of students is gonna utilize all the space from 50 up to 79. So it's gonna kick 55 out and all 79 out and take out their space. So that's why we say it's col span, is column span. We're combining these three columns as one, right? So let's do it. So let's go back to our text editor. So here, all right. So we're gonna span, say col span. Then we want to the 50 to take as three spaces. The one for 50, the space for 50, right? The space for 55 and the space for 79. So which means it's gonna be one column, first column, second column on the third row, and third column on the third row. So that's why we're gonna span three columns. So that's why we say col span 3, spanning all three. Then now let's go back to our browser and see the results. Going back to our browser and see the results, right? So here it is now. So the 50 utilize the space for 55, which is under math students, they are 55, and the space for 79 under math student, under physics student. So 50 took all the area, all this area up until the end, right? And kicked out 55 and 79 because we were spanning all these columns. We kicked them out, right? So that's how we use col span. That's how we use col span, right? Then now let's say we want only the 50 to take the space for 2, that is the space for 50 and also the space for 55. So can you guess? Then we have here 2, the value of 2. It's going to be col span 2. Then going back to our browser, so we utilize only 2. We utilize the one for 50 and the one for 55. Then now 55 is at third column, right? Because we are only using 2 columns, the one for 50 and the one for 55. So we kicked 55 and it's on the third column. So let's see the code. Yes. So we say we're spanning the columns. We're spanning the columns, right? Okay. Let's go back. Let's go back to our browser so that you can see again. Now the table is normal, is arranged equally. Then what we will try to achieve here, we want now 50 to utilize the space for 55. So we're gonna span the columns. Remember, this is the first column of the third row, and this is the second column of the third row. So now we want to span the first column to the second column of the third row. So now we're going to use these two spaces. Then this 55 will be here, 79. Then 79 will be kicked out of the table. So now let's go to our text editor. Let's go to our text editor. Here we say we want the 50 to use the space for 50 and also the space for 55. So remember, these are two columns. So this is the first column and this is the second column. So then we're going to say call span. Remember, only take two spaces. We're going to say 2. Then when you go back now to our browser, it will change and it will use two spaces, as you can see on our table. So 50 now is utilizing two spaces, the one for maths, which is 55 students, which was 55 students, and now 55 students is kicked to the physics column, and the physics column is outside the column now, right? So this is how to apply call span and also row span, right? Then let's say, can you try and okay, let me just give you a task. Now. Let's bring everything to where it was before. All right. So what I want you to do, I want you to span cat. No, I want you to span maths to the physics column. So I want you to make maths utilize the maths space and also the physics space. So what you're gonna use? You're gonna use call span. I'm gonna use call span. That is column span. We are spanning the columns. So where should you write the code? Remember, this is the first row, this is the second row, and this is the third row, right? This is the third row. So I want you maths to take the space for maths and also take the space for physics. So are you gonna use call span or are you gonna use row span? What are you spanning? Are you spanning the rows or are you spanning the columns? All right. So I'm giving you only 1 minute. Only 1 minute. Then you'll be done. All right. 30 seconds remaining. 25 seconds. 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10 seconds. All right, I hope you tried that. So let me explain before I give you the solution. I said I want you to make maths utilize the space for maths and also the space for physics, right? Remember, maths is in the second row, right? It's in the second row. So you go to the second row and you go under second row, you go under maths. So let's try it. So our text editor, so remember maths is in the second row, this is the first row, and this is the second row, and this is the third row. So now we want maths to utilize the space for maths and as the space for physics. So maths is in the second row, right? Then at the second row, go to TD for maths, then we say call span, right? Then we say 2. So it's gonna count from 1 maths, then 2 physics, right? Then now let's check our browser and see the changes. Alright, so this is our browser. I have not saved the document. Let me save it. Alright, as you can see, now maths utilize the space for maths, right? And also utilize the space for physics. The space for physics, it utilize it, right? So that's how you span the row, right? I mean, that's how you span the column. You span the column for maths, and also you span the column for physics, which was here. That was here under grade 10. Now I want you to span grade 10. Not to span. I want to make sure grade 10 use the space. Okay. Let's go back. Let me save it. Perfect. So I want you to make sure grade 10 use the space for physics and also the 79 students. So this column for grade 10, I want you to span it. This column for grade 10. So what are you gonna use? Are you gonna use the row span, or are you going to use column span? Give me a reason. So you can comment on our Facebook page or on YouTube. So you can check, you can comment via Facebook or via YouTube. What are we going to use? You want to make grade 10 utilize all that column. That is to remove the physics and remove the 79 students. How are we going to achieve that? So here we have grade 10. I'm just giving you 1 minute to think about it. Here we have grade 10. So we want this grade 10 to utilize all this space. As you can see on my mouse, all this space for physics and also for the 79 students. How? Are we gonna use column span or are we gonna use row span? Give me a comment. You can comment which one are we going to use. All right. Okay, I think you guessed right. You're gonna use the row span. So here, this is the first row, this is the second row, and this is the third row. Remember, we want to use grade 10 to do what? To utilize all the space. So we're gonna say row span 3. So grade 10 took all the space, right? Took all the space. As you can see here on our code, this is our code. So what we did here, I said we want grade 10 to utilize the space for physics. Remember, grade 10 is on the first column, right? I mean, it's on the first row, but on the first row is on the third column, right? It's on the third column. And also on the second column, the third column is on the second row. I mean, the third column is physics. And also on the third row, the third column is 79. So since we say grade 10 is gonna be we are using column span. We want to, I mean, we are using row span. We want to span that row. So this is our result. So grade 10 utilized all that space, remove the physics that was under it, and removed the 791 that was under it, then took out the whole space. So that's why we say it's a row span. It's a row span. It removed the physics and it removed the 79 students of physics under physics. Then it took out the whole row. Alright, I hope you are following. It took out the whole column, I mean. So I hope you are following. So these are the basics of tables. These are the basics of tables. Going back to, yes, now it's the normal. These are the basics of our tables. We have, this is header 1. I mean level, heading level 1. Heading level 1 is the biggest level. They end up to 6 levels. So then this is just the title. I'm just writing this as a heading. There's nothing special about it. So our main focus was tables. In order for tables to be clearly visible with the optical eyes, you must make sure that you put the border. Let's go back. As you can see now, it's clearly table. You can see now it's a table. So let's go back to our text editor. Okay, you can see that it's clearly a table. It's visible. Now I want to show you something. Now let's go back to our text editor. So once we remove the border, it will be table, but you have to use special eyes to see that this is the real table. So let's remove the border. We've removed the border, right? Then let's go back. To our browser. Perfect. So I have not saved the file or the HTML file so that you can see. As you can see on our browser here, the border is here. So once the border is there, it just put the borders inside the cells, right? So you can see it's clearly table. Now let me save the HTML file so that the one I removed the tables. So now you cannot really tell these are tables because there are no borders. There are no borders. It's not clearly defined. Remember that you don't forget to put the borders, and the examiner will always tell you that make sure the border is 1 pixel, or the border is 2 pixels, or the border is 5 pixels. Doesn't matter. So that it will define that these are tables. That is, this is an HTML table. So tables summary. Tables is made up of mainly 2 elements, or we can call it 2 children. The first child is row. Everything under tables is under rows. The first you put the table row, right? Then under row we have table cells. Table cells, we call them table data, TD. We define TD. All right. Let's just make a simple example just before I close so that you can understand. All right. So let me explain. I said HTML tables, they open and close with a table tag. See, this is a table tag. It starts from there and ends there. I hope you can see on the screen. It's highlighted. So it starts from there and ends there and ends here. So this, we call this an opening tag, and this is a closing tag. The closing tag always have a forward slash. The closing tag always have a forward slash. Remember, in HTML we have the opening tag must also close, but also we have self-closing tags like an image, like a line break, like a horizontal line. Those are self-closing tags. They close themselves. Unlike a table has an opening tag, right? And a closing tag. So how do you differentiate a closing tag? A closing tag has a forward slash. As you can see here, it has a forward slash. It defines that it's a closing tag. So table has two children, two main children. We have what? TR, which means stands for row, table row, right? And we have TD. TD stands for table data. All right. So let's go back to our browser. Let's go back to our browser. Right. So I want you to see something. So how many rows are here? How many rows are here? Here we have 3 rows. This is the first row with the headings of grade 12, grade 11, and grade 10. And this is the second row, right? And this is the third row. So the first row, the children under first row, as you can see with the optical eyes, is TH. TH stands for table header, right? Table head, that's why it's bold. Then this one is TD. This was table data. And this one is another TD, right? So the reason this one is bold, it gives you a title. That's why it's bold. It's defined by TH. So how many TDs do we have here? How many table data do we have here? We have 6. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 TDs and 3 TH. This is the first TH and this is the second TH. It defines the head, and this is the third TH, right? So that's why they are bold. So okay, let me just make things simpler. All right, so let's go back to our text editor. So instead of here writing grade 12, let's say this is the first heading. Let's say this is the first heading, and this is the second heading, this one. This one is the second heading, and this one is the third heading. Right? So that it can be clear for you. And this is, let's say this is cell 1. This is cell 1, right? This is cell 2. This is cell 3. I hope you're following. Then remember, this was the first row, which consists of headings, and this is the second row, which consists of table cells, table data. So we have cell 1, cell 2, cell 3, and this is the third row, which consists of cells as well. So this will be cell 4, cell 4, cell 5. Remember, tables, as you know, in Excel, it have cells. That's why I said cell. So make sure you are not confused. Here, cell 6. Perfect. Let's go back to our browser. Let's go back to our browser. Right, as you can see here, we have first heading, second heading, and third heading. Then on the first heading we have cell 1 and cell 4. On the second heading we have cell 2 and cell 5. On the third heading we have cell 3 and cell 6. Then on the first row we have cell 1, cell 2, cell 3. On the third row we have cell 4, cell 5, cell 6. Right, now let's put borders so that everything will be clear. Let's put borders so that everything will be clear now. So remember, we put borders here on the table. We put borders, so say border 2. When you say border 2, which means that the border is 2 pixels, the size. So it's not a number, just a size, 2 pixels. So then let's go back. As you can see here, we have the border is 2 pixels. Now you can see clearly that okay, this is actually a table which is separated by borders. You can see this is cell 3, you can see that this is cell 6, you can see that this is cell 1. Right, perfect. So this is how you deal with tables. Nothing else, just need to work on the memorize and work on the you must make sure that you understand that table is made out of mainly 2 children. It has table row and also TD for table cells. Then since tables, we have to differentiate what is the heading and what are the cells. So then that's where we have TH. It makes your heading bold. It makes your heading bold. TH, it makes your heading bold, right? So that's where TD comes in. Then table cells are data inside the cells. Okay, one more exercise. Let's say you want this cell 1 to take the whole space. We just did it. So you want cell 1 to take the whole space. So you're gonna go under cell 1, right? Then under cell 1, I'm gonna say call span. You are spanning what? The columns. You are spanning the column. So what you say okay, cell 1, I want you cell 1 to take the space for cell 2, which was under second heading, and also you want cell 1 to occupy the space for cell 3, which was under third row. So what you did, you say column span. We are spanning the column that is for cell 2 and cell 3. We are spanning them. So now cell 1 takes all that space. utilize all the space and pushes cell 2 and 3 out, right? So that's where you deal with column span. You are spanning what? The columns by 3 in this case. You're spanning columns by 3 in this space. You're spanning them by 3, right? So now cell 1 took the space for cell 2 and cell 3, utilize all the space, so it's occupying those 3 spaces because we said 3. It kicked cell 2 out and cell 3 out. So that is the main, those are the main functions of a table. We use table in web pages to put data in a structured way, in a proper way, so that your data won't be lying around. So we use table to display a lot of information. When I talk about data, maybe you want to display number of students that pass with distinction in grade 10, in grade 11, and in grade 12. So you might use tables and say, okay, physics there were 50, maths there were 100, and for CAT maybe there were 200. You are just giving the data in a table format. All right, I'll leave the rest for questions. If you have questions, remember you can just post on our Facebook page, or you can leave a comment on our YouTube channel for more questions, or you can contact us via WhatsApp group. Thank you so much for watching. We will continue again. Remember, Thursday we have a special class. Thursday we are going live maths. For maths we will be doing solve for x, we'll be doing inequalities, we'll be doing simultaneous equations, nature of roots, and also we'll do an introduction for sequences and series. That is on Thursday at 8 p.m. I mean at 9 p.m. Then for physics, we're starting at 8 p.m. physics. So for physics, we are doing Newton's law. We're doing we'll be defining important terminologies, right? And also it will do introduction to the different scenarios, right, where the load is in an incline. And also for physics as well, we will do we will differentiate where the normal force is not, we will demonstrate where the normal force is not equal to the weight. So get ready, invite your friends, all the grade 12, we will be there, right? So thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also remember to like our Facebook page and share our Facebook page to your fellow friends, colleagues, and classmates. Thank you so much for watching. We'll continue again on Thursday, or coming back on Thursday for physics at 8 p.m. South African time, and also maths grade 12 at 9 p.m. South African time. So remember that if you want one-on-one lessons, you can subscribe. For online courses, it's only 600 rands. Then physical classes, those who are around East London, it's 1000 rands. Thank you so much for watching. See you again on Thursday for grade 12 maths and physics.